Are you ready for final exams? If not, we're going to get you ready in this episode of College on Fleek. Hi, I'm Mary Dittman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of One-Derful Life and College on Fleek. Today we're going to talk about how to crush it during finals week. But before we do that, let's take a motivation minute. One thing that will help you stay motivated is to be organized. Now, if you watch College on Fleek, you hear me talk about this all the time. It's really hard to focus and accomplish anything when you're not organized and you can't find things. And when you're not able to accomplish things, it's hard to get motivated. Wins are what give you confidence and help you motivate yourself. So take some time, maybe just take a couple of hours, and instead of watching Netflix or messing around on Snapchat or Instagram, get your stuff organized, get your S to G. Get all of your school materials organized, clean out your car, clean out your book bag, whatever it's gonna be. But just get organized because that will go a long way in helping you stay motivated. Every week we like to give you a success hack or a study hack. Do yourself a favor. Please go to collegeonfleek.com and get the Study Smart Toolkit. That is the 3-step system I created to help myself in college because I had terrible test anxiety, and it has helped thousands of students over the years, taking them on their exams from D's and F's to A's and B's. Now, I'm not a magician, and I cannot guarantee anything, but what I have seen from my experience is I've seen students that if they just use the techniques that are in the Study Smart Toolkit, their grades improve. And I'm not talking about in 3 or 4 months at the end of the semester. I mean, if you do what's in that Study Smart Toolkit, you're gonna see results on the very next test. So go to collegeonfleek.com and get the Study Smart Toolkit. It's free, and it's like a video tutorial. It's like I'm just sitting down with you one-on-one and showing you how to study. It works for any class, any major, any university, even high school students or graduate students. So get your Study Smart Toolkit at collegeonfleek.com. Now let's really get into final exam week. At the time that I'm filming this, it's about 4 weeks before final exams start. And you might say, 4 weeks? Like, why are you on that right now? Because if you want to really crush it during final exams, don't wait until the night before finals begin. I was just about to say, I know how it is for most college students because you wait till the last minute to do things, but honestly, most people do that. So I can't even just say that's about college students. Most of us wait until right up on the deadline to get something done. But if you want to be successful, then leaving things till the last minute isn't gonna cut it. So depending on when you're watching this, hopefully it's a couple of weeks before final exams and you have time to implement the things that we're gonna talk about today. The first thing that you need to do to crush it during final exams is you really need to get your mind right. Final exams and finals week is really stressful. You have exams going on, you might have big papers and projects that are due, you might have to do class presentations, and it's stressful. A lot of times students are running themselves ragged, they start to get sick, it seems like everybody's sick, and then if you catch it, you're not getting enough sleep, you're probably not eating right. But getting yourself mentally ready for final exams is the first step to being able to crush it. Well, how do you do that? Well, I just told you, final exam week. If you're a first semester freshman, you don't know what's coming your way. But if this is not your first rodeo, you know what I'm talking about. You know final exam week is just, I mean, it's crazy. It's miserable, it's crazy. And once you know that's how it's gonna be, you're not gonna be surprised. So you can be like, okay, things are gonna get crazy. And what that means is Maybe don't go out and party so much. See, that's one mistake a lot of students make, is because they're so stressed out, they'll go out and party and try to relieve that stress, but then they've got more problems on top of it. They're hungover, they don't feel well, they miss class because they slept in too late, or they're just not able to focus and get things done. So mentally, if you could prepare yourself and say, okay, I'm not going to go out, I'm going to make sure I'm getting enough rest, I'm going to make sure I'm hydrated and drinking enough water, and I'm already going to know that during that week, or maybe even for 2 weeks before that, it's going to be crunch time. And so don't commit yourself to anything else. As a teacher, for me, my busiest months are November and April, because that's the 1 month that is leading up to the end of the semester and leading up to finals, and everything is busy and crazy. And of course, that's when, as a teacher, I'm busy, I'm trying to prepare my students. My students need a lot from me moving into final exams, and I want to be available for them. Of course, I want to be available to you here on College on Fleek. I have another area that I work in called One-Derful Life, which is for single women and helping them be happy when they're single. And this frequently, November, that's in the holidays, so that can be a stressful time for single women, so I want to be available there. And then as a university employee, as a professor, of course, every committee I'm on and everybody else, now it's when everybody wants to get everything wrapped up and done. So I have a lot more going on in the months of November and April. And for that reason, I don't commit myself to things. So when people want me to come to a speaking event in April or November, my answer is no. When a friend says, hey, can I come visit you and stay for a few days? I'll say no, because I know I'm not going to have that extra time or physical energy or mental bandwidth to take anything on. So do that for yourself. For let's say the 2 weeks leading up to finals plus that exam time, don't take on more than you need to. If it's possible to maybe work a few less hours at your job, perhaps you can do that. Now, that's not always an option. Sometimes you need those hours. But then you just know, okay, I'm going to be working and preparing for finals, and that's it. The second thing you need to do to crush it during finals is you need to make a plan. The other day in one of my freshman classes, and these are first semester freshmen, I was showing them how to make a plan and how to understand what they are going to need to get done. And this was actually from 3 different students. I called on one student, what do you have coming up in your history class? Like the last 4 weeks of school, what do you have for your history class? And I wrote it on the board. Another student, math, wrote it on the board. Another student, English, wrote it on the board. That's only 3 classes. Most students take 4 or 5, but we just looked at those 3. And that's a very typical class load for freshmen: history, math, English. And I'm going to tell you what, as the professor, when I looked at that stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, that's freaking nuts. And that's only 3 classes. They have 2 other classes most likely that they're having to deal with. And that's where making a plan is so valuable. What I would recommend is, if you have maybe a dry erase board, but it doesn't matter, use a piece of paper and write down every single class, your lab, your class, your whatever it is, and then write down from right now, when you're watching this, until the very end of the semester, what do you have that is coming up or coming due? So you might say, well, we have a weekly quiz. Okay, so that's going to be X number of weeks, 3 or 4 quizzes, homework, projects, presentation, exam, final exam, and list it out for each class. That's going to give you a bird's eye view of what it is that you're going to be dealing with. Now, once you stop crying after seeing this list, then you can have a strategy to get this stuff done. And that brings me to step number 3 in crushing it during final exams. You've got to get this stuff done. When you look at that, whether it's a poster or a sheet of paper, it doesn't matter, and you look at that mountain of work that you have got to get done before the end of the semester, it's going to be very tempting to get in the bed and watch Netflix and just try to avoid it. That is a mistake. Don't do it. I watch a lot of students do that stuff. They look at everything they have to do, they feel overwhelmed, they feel like they can't do it, and they just sort of want to hide and avoid it. And some of that goes back to what I told you as step number one, which is you got to get your mind right. Don't let that list of tasks intimidate you. You need to look at it and go, okay, I can do it. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be fun. I'm not going to tell you you're going to enjoy it, but I will tell you that you can get it done. Even if you have slacked off for the semester and you are really looking at a mountain of work, you can get it done. Most students really don't use their time as efficiently as they think they are. And look, you might have to work, you could be an athlete, but a lot of times we have time during the day that we're just sort of squandering, usually on social media or television or video games or online shopping, whatever your thing is. When you look at that list of things that you're going to have to complete, you need to go ahead and right there get your mind right and say, okay, I better get started. Okay, I can do this. And when you're looking at the whole thing, yeah, it is intimidating. But part of making a plan would be to say, okay, I need to go through my notes and I need to be making flashcards. I need to get all my class materials organized. I need to make appointments to go to the writing center or the tutoring center. Now, the university where I teach at Francis Marion, our writing center, a lot of times during the semester, you can just walk in and they'll help you, but the closer you get to final exams, they can't do that because they're booked. So what I usually recommend to students is 3 or 4 weeks before final exams, go ahead and schedule some appointments at the writing center or the tutoring center, or both is what I would really do. Now, if you find that you don't need the appointments, you can cancel them, but you'll have them booked, because the worst thing would be you've got a huge paper and your English grade is really resting on how well you do on this paper, and they can't help you at the writing center because they're booked. So go ahead and make those appointments. One of my students had a great idea. I think he told me like every week they get assigned 60 or 70 math problems and it has to be done in a week. But what he said, because when you look at 70 math problems, you just think, what's the point? And what he said was he just does 10 a day. And well, maybe a little bit more than that, because I think when we say a week, it's like 5 days. So he does like maybe 15 or 20 math problems every day. He can handle that because he can get 15 or 20 done in about 45 or 50 minutes, and that's perfect. Sometimes he'll go to the tutoring center and sit there and do it, or he knows that he can go if he's having trouble with any of the problems. But that is a smart way to do it. So when you look at what you have coming up, if you can start breaking it down, like, okay, is there anything I can start working on right now and do a little bit each day, that helps you crank out some product and get results. Now, here's what most students do. They wait until the night before the final and cram, or they wait until the night before the paper is due and try to bang out the whole thing all at once. That's going to lead to you being stressed out, exhausted. You're not going to do a good job. And I've seen many times where students pull an all-nighter studying. This has happened several times to my students. One of my classes, the final exam is at 8:30 in the morning, which I don't select. I would never give a final at 8:30, but I don't get to choose that. And they stay up all night studying, and they say like at 4 a.m., well, let me just take a little nap, and they sleep until 10 o'clock, and they've missed the final. By waiting and doing everything at the last minute, and I recently asked my freshmen this, most of them said, I wish I could stop procrastinating, because if I could get stuff done earlier, I wouldn't be so stressed. I could actually have more time to enjoy myself, and I wouldn't have this thing hanging over my head. So as much as possible, anything that you can start working on, go ahead and start working on it now. And let me tell you something else about the end of the semester. This is a little inside teacher information. Many times what happens is your professor at the end of the semester looks at the syllabus and goes, uh-oh, I haven't gotten done a lot of the things I needed to get done. And so it seems like you were cruising the whole semester with like hardly anything to do, and all of a sudden the last month, your teacher is just dumping stuff on you. And that can be because your professor did not budget his or her time through the semester. And so now at the end, the professor is in a panic. They're slamming all this work on you. And so all these things you think you're going to have done, you can plan on some more things getting added to that you don't even know about yet. And that's why starting early and having a plan and getting to work on stuff immediately is so important. At College on Fleek, we actually produced a series of hack packs. Don't you love a good hack? I do. I mean, I love a shortcut, a hack, a tip. Our hack packs are designed to give you those tips and tricks and shortcuts so that you can be productive with as little effort on your part as possible. If you go to collegeonfleek.com and check out Hack Pack 3, that is how to crush it during finals and stay sane. And in that hack pack, there are checklists and videos, and we take you through step by step. When I say get your mind right, make a plan, crank out that product, in Hack Pack 3, we actually take you step by step what to do, and we give you checklists so you know exactly how to get this stuff done. So go to collegeonfleek.com and check out Hack Pack number 3. Next week, join us because we're going to talk about how to actually take your final exams. Now, College on Fleek is a dialogue, not a monologue, and we want to hear from you. What are you struggling with? Do you have any helpful tips or hacks that you could share to help people with finals? You can put those in the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. You can always connect with us at collegeonfleek.com and join us next week because we're really going to dive deep and talk about taking final exams and how to really finish the semester strong. That's next week right here on College on Fleek.